The Rock once rock bottomed the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith onto dog shit on Monday Night Raw, and this will go down as one of the greatest moments in Monday Night Raw history. This is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. This was an actual moment, and I think it is the number one moment in Raw history. No, I do not. 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 This was a very stupid angle. Okay. So to set it up, this is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. The British Bulldog had come back to WWF in 1999 after being released from WCW, where he hurt his back falling into a trapdoor that was meant for Ultimate Warrior to come into the ring in 1997. He spent 10 months out due to this back injury. This is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. He was out for 10 months, almost a year, and they released him, which is kind of mean when you think about it. It's like you injured the guy, and now you're releasing the guy after he's never going to be the same again. But that's what WCW did to people. So he comes back to WWF. Only this is the Attitude Era. So they're like, you can't be the British Bulldog of old. You got to be a new British Bulldog. So they're like, no, you can't wear the Union Jack on your tights. You got to wear blue jeans. No, you can't come out to your entrance music. We got to remix it. And then they're like, no, we don't like the remix. You're going to come out to dogs barking and a rock theme. This is a real thing that happened. You think I'm making this up just to be funny. This is not. I'm not making this up to be funny. So anyways, he comes back. He wins the Hardcore title. This is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. He wins the Hardcore title. He gives it to Al Snow because Al Snow just got his dog eaten. I'm reading that literally. I mean, I'm sure British Bulldog was getting his dog eaten, but there was a completely different dog. This is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. And then he gets in the world title picture. Now, Triple H is the world champion. Whether Triple H was ready for the main event or not at this point in 1999 is up for debate. But he's the world champion. This is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. He faces him once, and then he gets a rematch with Triple H on SmackDown with The Rock as guest referee. Rock refuses to count for Triple H and refuses to count for British Bulldog, takes them both out, steals the title, and then they both get in altercations backstage, including one with Stone Cold. So this sets up Stone Cold versus Triple H at No Mercy, which Triple H manages to win somehow, though Stone Cold was a much bigger star. But Stone Cold is getting ready to take time off due to his neck injury. And it helped build Triple H up. What really helped build Triple H up was his match with Mick Foley at the beginning of 2000. But we're going to forget about that for now. And British Bulldog versus The Rock. I have not watched that match. I will admit, I have not watched that match. So then The Rock and the British Bulldog have a rematch on Raw. I could not find this match. I'm sure I watched it when it aired. I do not remember it. I remember being a fan of the British Bulldog. Once again, this is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. I'm not sure why there was a cutting board full of dog shit outside the ring during this moment, but I did find a moment when Rock bottomed British Bulldog onto the dog shit. And there's a cutting board of dog shit on the entranceway ramp. Why you need a cutting board of dog shit, I don't know. Because you're not going to cut dog shit up and put it in, make it food. Make it any kind of food. You're not going to be like, I'm going to cut this dog shit up and then we're going to mix it with food. And we're gonna make fabulous food out of this dog shit. I don't know. But The Rock beats British Bulldog. Then gets this cutting board of dog shit and puts it in the ring. And then he grabs British Bulldog and he rock bottoms him on the dog shit. Jim Ross called this crass. He said it wasn't funny. This angle was comedic enough. And we didn't need more comedy. Personally, I thought this is just stupid. Once again, this is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. Why is there a cutting board full of dog shit? I don't know. Why would you put dog shit on a cutting board? I don't know. I'm sure it was real dog shit because Vince McMahon strives for reality. And I feel bad for the audience in the arena having to smell the dog shit. I feel bad for British Bulldog having to lie on the dog shit. And I feel bad for me having to make a video talking about British Bulldog, big rock bottom and dog shit. British Bulldog would go on to feud with Eddie Guerrero over the European title, and then he'd be released after he's shown up to a show with being unable to function due to being so high on drugs. Rock would go on and become one of the biggest stars in wrestling. Once again, this is your weekly wrestling moment with Steve Sanders. I'm Steve Sanders. Here's a word from our sponsor. Need something to hold up your house? Something to push against for hours and get nowhere? Something to lean up against? Get a wall. You can push up against it. You can lean against it. And it holds up the roof of your house. You can also punch it. Just don't punch it hard or you'll break your hand. It's a wall. Paint it any color you want. Unless you rent, then you're screwed. It's a wall. Get a wall today from the makers of roofs and floors.